So here I am sitting in November 11111. It's in the hangar at Payne right now. And as most of you know, it is for sale. So if you want the spec sheet on it, it's in the details and information section on YouTube. So if you just scroll down and press more, you'll find it. And then if you're on a phone, if you click on the, there's a down arrow right underneath the video, and that'll take you into the information section as well. So a lot of people have asked, are you retiring from flying? No, not a chance. And are you not going to be instructing anymore in the Aerostar? No, not a chance. In fact, with what's going on now, I should actually be able to do more, have a little bit more time freed up, because we've been able to actually streamline our business a little bit. That gives me some more time, and I've got some help in the real estate business with another partner. So unfortunately, 11111 will be out of my life, we think, unless somebody local buys it and still lets me fly it, which would be pretty cool. So if you have any questions or anything, put them in the comment section, or want to talk, my contact information is in the About section, so you're welcome to call and chat anytime. This is November 11111. Nice shiny boots. This Aerostar 602P 700, all modified by Macken, that's Aerostar Aircraft Corporation, is for sale. And there's some cool things about this airplane. Technically, it's a 702P, which is Aerostar's designation for an Aerostar that's had a bunch of their mods. One of those being the 6,850-pound gross weight increase, which has a lot of beef ups in the nose area on the main landing gear. It also has a 5.5 PSI cabin, which at 25,000 feet is going to give you in the neighborhood of about 8,000 feet of cabin altitude. So coming back around again, nice shiny boots. I like shiny boots. I was just in ice, about a week ago, and they shed it off very nicely. And it's in very good condition. A few little things with the paint that could be touched up, which we have a good shop here on at Payne Field called Sunquist that's really well known. It's done a lot of Aerostars. It's also got the vortex generators, which is part of the low-speed handling kit, among other things. It's got the large brakes, which make it stop really well and pretty fast. And it does go, which you'll see on the video at a relatively lightweight, some max performance VX climbs, which are kind of fun to do because it feels like you're in a rocket ship. People say this airplane flies like a jet, and it does. Now, some of the specs on this, as far as the engines go and everything else, they are Lycoming TIO-540U2As. Those are the newer of the 540 series that are designed specifically to be turbocharged. And they each have approximately 625 hours since factory zero time remans. So that's a pretty good deal. The propellers have the same amount of time since they were redone, and everything firewall forward was new when these engines were installed, and that was in 2015. The airframe has got about 5,307 hours on it, which is not real high time. Actually, it's kind of sort of average for these things these days. And the panel does have some cool stuff in it, but and everything works. So you've got a Sandell 3500 digital HSI, which has all the goodies in it. We've got a Garmin GNS 430W, older Trimble RNAV. It's got radar. It's got a second HSI and a KNS 81 as a second navcom. It has a Shaden digital fuel analyzer and controller and two EDM 500s. Those are the original engine analyzers that JPI came out with. It does have an aux fuel tank, 44 gallons, which is nice. And a kind of a cool thing that the previous owner did when he did these avionics was there's a switch up here that you can see the little green light says HSI 1. I could have HSI 1 set up doing a GPS approach that is overlaid on an ILS. have the ILS set up on number 2 HSI over here. Press, and on the approach, press that button and the autopilot will fly the switch over to the HSI after the GPS system went down and continue to fly the approach. So that's kind of a neat backup feature that I don't think I've ever seen that on any other airplane. So that's pretty cool. Another thing that's really cool in this airplane is the panel is backlit. I'll turn down the lights up here. I have to turn the nav on, which is on, and turn this up. And if you can see it, you can see how the panel is lit. Kind of hard to see that. You can kind of see it over there. So all the lettering over there is all backlit. So at night, it's kind of like an airliner. In fact, the previous owner had a lot to do with Boeing as an engineer. And when he had this panel done, he had the Boeing supplier that does this for the jets. And in fact, the panel's actually Boeing brown. Now, some other things that really need to be made apparent is the airframe. Everybody seems to be going today for the bells and whistles and the shiny objects. Shiny objects meaning glass panels and all that kind of good stuff. But in reality, the most important part is the airframe. And this is the newest 602P700 off of Piper's line. This was the last one produced. Serial number ends in 21. And there's nothing newer on the 602Ps. There's a few Aerostar 700Ps, which are great airplanes. However, they've got a couple of nits. And one of those is they can't have the 6850 gross weight increase. And because they have a limitation in the baggage compartment of 250 pounds, even though they have an aux tank in there, it's the total. It's the total of the fuel. And I think the 700P has got a 40-gallon tank. This one has a 45 usable tank, but there is no weight restriction. You can still put full fuel back there and put 250 pounds of baggage in the baggage compartment. That's pretty cool. It's got air conditioning. It actually works. Engine driven, and it's been pretty trouble-free over the period that we've been flying it. But back to the good airframe. Aerostar just went through this airplane and corrected anything that was what we call marginal, meaning that's not an airworthiness issue, but these airplanes are, they're 40 plus years old. And one of the problems is that you find these for a really good deal and they end up costing you a fortune to restore them. So our annuals, I want to rename them. Our annuals should actually be called progressive restorations. And if you do that right, you'll have a reliable airplane that will treat you really well and not break down. Now, in the 7.5 years that we've been flying this thing since I purchased it, it hasn't really gotten us stuck on the ground. I've never had a trip that I had to cancel because coming out there was something that broke. The only issue that I've ever had, which is actually written up in the Aerostar Owners Association, were bad Champion spark plugs where the insulators were cracking and actually breaking off. And one of those ended up causing a hot spot, created a situation where stretched an intake valve, and that required a cylinder overhaul, which took us down for a little bit. But other than that, pretty much nothing, trouble-free. That's because it's been lovingly taken care of and restored. And that's a big deal. I mean, you can buy these things for, $150,000, but by the time you're all done with it, over a period of 2 or 3 years, you're going to end up with 550 into it, and a lot of frustration because it's going to have been down for quite a bit. So there you go. November 11111 is on the for sale block. This is a great airplane for somebody. And enjoy the videos too. I've got some more stuff attached to this just to kind of give you an idea of what it's like to fly it. Oh, and the last thing, if you're interested in the information and the specs are all in the remarks below. And if you're on a phone, you got to go onto your computer and find the remarks. And phone number, contact information, it's all there. So have a good one. And we'll be flying more and produce some more videos too. I have more of these I can fly. I'm Eric Reese. I sell real estate for a living, but I fly and instruct in the Aerostar for fun. Join us on our travel and training adventures in the world's fastest light piston twin.
We're turning right, Sirius 24 Whiskey, Bremer.
Yeah, Bremer to traffic, Aerostar 11111 departing runway 02 with a right turn out.
Approaching runway 0, enter runway 02, 5,900 feet remaining.
Alright, coming up on Rario.
Cessna 91, follow that traffic. Number 3, runway 24 right, clear to land.
There goes the turn. Once we're established inbound, I'll put the autopilot in approach mode. That way it'll make sure it captures the glide slope or vertical nav.
Cessna 35, Papa T, go main tower. Yes, sir. We're coming up on Houston area. We have information, Lima. We'd like to enter midfield for a few touchy goes on 34 left. Perfect. Papa Tango, enter left downwind, runway 34 left. And 35 Papa Tango will enter the left downwind, 34 left.
We're zipping along. We're at gear extension speed. I'm going to slow it up just a little bit more. Flaps are set, fuel's on, pumps are on. Gear's still up, mixtures and props to go.
Cap 4667, center ground company.
Now we're slowed down where I want to be. Okay, vertical nav is alive. I'm on 111, about 8 miles out.
Here's your 111, runway 34 left, clear to land.
111, clear to land, 34 left. So once we're about a half a dot below glide slope interception, we gotta go ahead and drop the gear. And the mixtures will go forward and the props will gently go forward. That'll slow us down a little bit, and then I'll set up at about 16 inches of manifold pressure. The speed will bleed off nicely down to 120 knots for the glide slope. So there's 1 dot. Got 3 in the green. Mixture's rich, props forward, pumps on, fuel's on, pressurization is 0, and we'll come right on back to about 15 inches, 16 inches, and it'll set it up. So there's glide slope and approach coupled, and probably missed that. I did. That means I got to take it out of altitude, and we'll just hand fly it. So I even talked about making sure that I press the put the autopilot in approach mode. Didn't do it. I can get back down here and get underneath it, and I can arm it. Approach. Light slope is coupled and activated now, so that's good.
500.
Let's go 3, can I go 20?
We're below minimums now, or right at minimums. So kick the autopilot off, just hand flat.
400.
Go ahead and go flaps 30, and we'll slow it on up a little bit. 110 at this point. Up, fell off. Okay, gears down and locked.
300.
Flaps full. Wind's kind of gusty.
200.
Okay, gears down, flaps are down. There we got 100 knots.
50. 40. 30.
Alright, got the runway cleared. Stop. After landing checklist. Windshield heat off, prop heat off, strobes off, pulse lights off. Come through here, boost pumps off. Come on down here and we'll deflate the door seal. Come on back up. Flaps are going to go up. This boost pump's going to go off. And we'll reset the trims for 0. That way I can check them later. And that's zeroed out, and that's all good on that side. Going to ground.
November 5, pop tank.
Main ground, Aerostar 11111, cleared Alpha 6, taxi West Condos.
Aerostar 11111, tank ground, taxi via Alpha Echo or Alpha Hotel 1, your discretion, be late.
Alpha Hotel and Hotel 1, 111.